Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video on the top 5 things that I think every single mid laner needs to know. My name is LolFit. I do educational content like this, and then I do a tip series, and then I do a guide series, opposition reports, so a bunch of different things. So if you're looking to climb, I encourage you to look at the library as well for a bunch of really weird, kind of out there knowledge-based videos that I'm just trying to help everyone climb. I'm trying to build a community where everyone tries to help each other climb as well. Now, let's just get straight into the video. Oh, one more thing. If you guys want to contact me directly, I'm going to put the Discord down in the description, as well as my Twitter. And yeah, if you want to just get a hold of me, we can chat a little bit if you like. And let's get right into number 1. Now, I want to talk about this. I'm going to kind of use a metaphor. It's going to be a little bit strange, but I think it is really apt for this video. I want to talk about power plays. And what power plays are is in hockey, when someone fouls someone, they will get penalty time. And the enemy team will have an advantage because they will have a numbers advantage. And this is usually where a lot of the goals are scored in hockey. And I think this is really similar in how you can create power plays in League of Legends by taking out your opposing laner. First of all, and the most obvious way is by killing them, sending them to the fountain. Obviously, that's a great way to get an advantage for your team. But let's talk about a couple other ways you can get a power play in League of Legends. First up, one of the easiest ways to get a power play is by to simply push the minions into their tower. And what this is going to do is it's going to force the enemy laner to either CS, which will give you a power play for a little bit, or to follow you, and they're going to lose CS. So this is going to be a good situation either way. A couple ways you can take advantage of this power play is, first up, one of my favorites is to invade the jungle, because usually as a solo laner you are going to be a bit stronger than the jungler just because you have access to more experience and more resources. This can also be amplified with the jungler, so you want to kind of coordinate, say, hey, I'm going here, I want to contest the blue, and you can use your power play to take out important objectives. Also, you can look at things like the Scuttler, like the Dragon, like the Rift Herald. This is a great way to just really get an advantage in the game. It's not going to be like the biggest, most obvious thing, because they're just going to clear CS and roam with you, but you do have a short period of time where you can really have a great effect on the game. You can obviously gank another lane, so look to take advantage of these power plays. First up, let's just review it real quick. You can kill the enemy, you can force them with CS to go under there, and third up, you can kind of split them around by going into a different lane and pushing in another wave, so you're going to force them into that wave. So you're forcing them to kind of be reactive to you and not really proactive. And the great thing about forcing a team into a reactive defensive state is they're very predictable in what they're going to do, as opposed to you, where you can be a bit unpredictable, and it's going to be easier for you to take advantage of the enemy team by looking for different buffs again, and by helping your junglers secure scuttle crabs, which is so big in this meta. So always look to take advantage of your power plays. And that will wrap up number 1. Alright, let's just jump right into number 2. Now, mid lane is usually the site of a lot of ganks because there's so many different avenues. There's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 different avenues where people can attack you from, and then if you include this, you can add a 7th kind of avenue and an 8th right there. So there's a bunch of ways where you can get attacked. Now, what I see that what happens a lot is people are pushing without vision, which obviously is pretty bad. So first up, I'm just going to go over a couple different things with vision and being maybe when you're in a struggling lane, you're getting pushed in a little bit, how you can play defensive, and how when you might be susceptible to extremely strong gankers, things like Trundle, things like Elise, things like I don't know, Kindred. They all have a pretty high damage and they bring a slow, so you need to be careful around these kind of junglers. First up, obviously there is the ward, and then one big thing that I really just wanted to get over on this tip is to match the side that your jungler is on. Say, let's even just illustrate it with a target dummy. Say I have a teammate who is a jungler here. I want to play to this side of the map because I know I can get quick reinforcements here. So when I'm CSing in lane, I want to be always kind of edged to this side. This is really important. This is what they always do in pro play. And then also, you can actually get in great situations where you bait the enemy team into darkness and get them kills. Obviously, this isn't going to work in the higher elos, but in bronze, silver, and gold, this is just an amazing way to bait out. Really advantageous 2v2. So always look to play to where your jungler is in that side of the map. It's just kind of a basic rule of thumb that you should be following every single game. It's going to put you just in safer positions, and also you can always run to them even if they're not the most observant and waiting right there for you. It's going to be just a great way to limit the amount of deaths you're going to take in lane. So yeah, that will wrap up number 2. Alright, and let's just jump right into number 3 now. Please forgive me. It is going to be another sports analogy here. With when you are a mid laner, you are akin to a point guard. In basketball, this means that you control a lot of the game. You control the pace of the game. You have the most access to the map because of your centralized location. So you should really look to affect lanes. A lot of times, mid laners fall into the trap of only CSing and only trying to play for the late game. That's why you see a lot of professional teams underperforming, because their mid laner is passive and only just trying to CS and not trying to affect the map. There are several things you can do as a mid laner that would be extremely difficult for a top player to do without burning a summoner firsthand in teleport. So what I mean by this is you should be looking at the map constantly. You need to have a very high level of map awareness, because you should be one of the first people to the fights that are reinforcing the fights because of your centralized location. Now, this, whether it be a bot lane scrimmage that is actually both the jungles are moving to, you should be immediately moving down there, because that's where you're going to get a lot of really easy kills due to your over-leveled status as a solo laner with solo experience, and you are not a jungler that are usually a couple levels behind. So you really want to take advantage of these situations where you can fight people that are under-leveled, be as oppressive as you possibly can. Obviously, it's going to be optimal when you push in your wave first, so always look to be one of the first people joining fights. In the bot, in the jungle, if there's an invade, you should always be looking to help with the scuttle. You should always be helping with the scuttle over here and help with any invade, and then also looking for top roams when the situation calls for it. When the enemy team has the lane pushed here and he seems to just be staying, you can always look for a really good gank. Now, this is really going to be it's just going to be a lot better when you have control wards and you have a sweeper to really deny as much vision as possible and to set up traps with your vision control. Here, let's just teleport back, and I'll give you guys a couple positions in which you can really shine with some of those control wards. I'm just going to get a couple, and we'll just go around the map where I think some great control ward spots are. So, let's go first. If you're in a lane situation where it's even, or even they might beat you in a 1v1, you probably want to take either this passive route over here and down this way, and then maybe a control ward there to see if they're going to follow your roam. Also, another decent control ward spot is right there, and that is one of the more passive ways. And then if you are extremely far behind, if you're a control mage just trying to roam up to top for a gank, and say they have something like an assassin, you might just want to take the blast cone into this, because this is where a lot of people wait for traps on roam. So this would be the safest route. And let's go over some more aggressive routes. Say you're really destroying, you're just dumpstering his lane, you have a strong 1v1 potential. Say you're something like a Fed Fizz. You can go a more aggressive route. You can go this way, and this is gonna do is it's probably gonna scout out the jungler. Hopefully, you're gonna be able to get a lot of vision here. You're gonna be able to deny vision, and you're gonna get a lot of information for your team. You're gonna enable your bot lane to know if the jungler's up here, and if you're not. If they don't see the jungler up here when you're roaming up here, they know that they should be careful because the jungler is in the bot lane close to them. So even if you don't find the jungler, no knowledge is actually knowledge for your team. So look to be as aggressive as possible when you are ahead and try and snowball your lead as hard as possible. And then with this route, this particularly aggressive route is really good because a lot of top laners just like using this ward for this bush for rewards. So this can also be a great roaming situation for top. And then also it's kind of mirrored on the other side where you can kind of go through this jungle along this path if you want a more passive route to get to the bot lane, or if you want to take a more aggressive route, you can go through here. And you can also look for picks on the enemy jungler if you're super far ahead and just go this way and place a ward right here. This is rarely checked. A yellow ward would be good there if you're doing yellow wards, and then doing this kind of route can be really effective because it is really rarely warded by the enemy team, and then just popping over that is going to be another great path for you. So really look to take advantage of your great positioning being in the middle of the map. And yeah, that will wrap up this tip. Alright, let's jump right into number 4. Now I want to talk a little bit more just about the geography of the mid lane. What I mean by that is just kind of the positioning of the bushes and kind of the dead fog spaces. Now in the mid lane, you're usually not playing something like Aatrox unless you are one of those people that are just currently abusing his really strong early and mid game trades. If you're playing something like Lux, really look to take advantage of either a control ward here or a sweeper here, and then shooting your skill shots that way and shooting them from Fog of War. This is obviously going to give them a higher hit rate, so look to take advantage of these blind spots. And again, control wards and sweepers are your best friend when setting up picks, and you're really going to be able to cheese out a couple of kills. And I want to talk about one more thing. It has to do with these vision traps that you can really employ a lot in mid. Is you fake a roam, which is another way to kind of play with your enemy's head, and you just go over here. You be like, oh, you make it really obvious. They're just CSing right here. You make it really obvious. You just duck into the wards, and they're probably frantically pinging their bot lane and saying, hey, my mid laner's roaming to you. Be very careful. And you just sit right here. This is going to be a really great spot because unless they take a super passive route, they're most likely going to take this route and then kind of follow this wall, and this is going to set up some really easy combos for you. So look to take advantage of the dead zones here, even being in the bushes, and then look to take advantage of this bush, and then you can even fake a top lane roam and use that bush. So these are going to be some really easy ways. Obviously you're not going to get too many kills, but I would say 1 in 4 or 5 of these are going to turn out into a kill. Just make sure that you are stronger than them, or at least able to burst them out and take really advantage trades from Fog. Some great champions for this would be something like Malzahar, something like Fizz, something like Lux, and just really burst people out. Look to take advantage of these traps. If you guys have any other spots you like using, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Alright, and for the final tip, I just want to hammer down some fundamentals that are going to be really easy. Just an easy way to win your lane in low elo due to extremely low CS numbers. So I'm just going to go over a quick couple tips for the mid lane. First up, let's just start with items. Doran's Ring is great because it increases the damage against minions. It's going to help you with last hitting. And then obviously for AD champions running in the mid, Doran's Shield, or you don't even have to be an AD champion if you just want to be super safe. This is going to be a great amount of sustain, living through a bit of poke, and then also doing a bit more damage to minions. So really try to use these two to get leads in CS. Next up is knowing where the minions are focusing and what is the next minion that's going to get into that threshold you need to land your creep score. Next up, another tip I can give for CSing for people is using your attack animations when you are closer. Obviously I'm on a melee champion, but you get what I mean. With the ranged champion, they have a bit of a flight time and a missile speed that's going to be really, if you're under no threat, it's usually best to just be like right on top of the minion so you know exactly when your attack is going to go off. Next up, another quick tip for CSing is to use your smaller damaging ability, whether this be an auto attack or a small damage ability, and then end the combo, the kill combo, with your larger hitting one, because this is going to put them at a lower threshold, and the smaller minions are going to be less likely to finish off those minions. Another quick tip would be to kill the minions in the back line before anyone else, before focusing on anything else. If you're able to one-shot them, that is great because they're not getting focused, so there's no competition for that backline CS. This is perfectly exemplified with just Zoe using her Q to clear out the backline minions because she has a pretty broken kit right now and does a lot of damage just with the lost chapters. So look to really get in a pattern of CSing. That's going to be really big. Just maybe you're doing the frontline minion that's getting focused first into the backline minions, and then you're waiting for the frontline minion to get killed off by your minions. So I know this is a little bit confusing, but the easiest way to win mid lane is to just out CS the enemy. If you really struggle with CS, if you're at like 5 CS a minute, which is really poor and really doing yourself a disservice, play something like Annie that just really has a high damage Q and it refunds the mana and half the cooldown when you use it. This is the biggest tip I can give new mid laners, is just focus on CS, and if you can, push them out and then look to do the other things that I had mentioned before, but really focus on your CS. If you are low, go to champions and build items that are going to help you with CS. If you're AD, if you're something like Talon, Tiamat is going to help a lot. If you're a little bit tanky and you struggle with CS, say you're running that weird Galio mid or the Scion mid, you can do something like Bomby Cinder. But this is the easiest way to get out of bronze, silver, and gold, is just by beating people over the head with your gold. So really focus. If you have to go in practice tool to get that 8 CS a minute, you can also lock level experience if you want to get really good at certain waves. If you struggle, say you're a Nivea and you struggle before you get level 6 CSing, which is pretty common, lock your experience level and you're going to get really used to those attack damage values, and you're going to get really used to the missile speed of your auto attack animation. That will wrap up the video, ladies and gentlemen. Let me hear your thoughts in the bottom. If you'd like a tip, let me know what your favorite tip, let me know what your least favorite tip is. I love to hear that kind of stuff. And if you enjoyed the content, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It's an educational channel. I'm just trying to help everyone climb. Yeah, that will wrap it up, everyone, and you all take it easy.